Hello, scapers, board gamers, and painters alike. I am Josiah, better known as the RogueScaper, and today we have something pretty awesome to paint. The HELLFORGE Manticore. This heroScape figure is an upcoming release from Renegade, and they were kind enough to send a couple my way so I can get them painted. This metabolic menace is one of my favorite units, both in thematic powers and visual presence. Before we begin, here are the paints and tools I will be using. Certainly feel free to use your own preferred brand with similar colors if you're following along. We're going to be trying to match a scheme for the official art, while also adding a few artistic flourishes to really help this thing pop. So without further ado, let's put on our hard hats, fire up the oven, and paint this heroScape HELLFORGE.
Yeah! Alright, Josiah is painting the HELLFORGE. Not only one of my favorite units from Age of Annihilation, but it is so incredible that Renegade sent him a HELLFORGE. I mean, they have sent him a lot of models to paint on camera, but this is fantastic. Finally, Josiah has gotten
similar color matching recognition
match
the colors we'll be using, but you can also find cheap
make a video and have literally the entire world see on Renegade's live stream, which is awesome. This is fantastic. I love this.
Add a base layer with no
so yeah, I'm going to learn from a master right now. I'm going to take some notes. Take your notepads out, ladies and gentlemen. I figured I'd just react to this because that's what I did last time.
To work on, so I'll be able to just demonstrate how to add the brown base layer if you decide not to invest in some
I love how he just slaps it right on.
You'll want to use a large flat edge brush with paint that is thinned down enough
flat edge brush. I need to get myself a big a lot of my brushes that I have are a bit tiny. They're tiny.
As a shape will help.
So I gotta get myself bigger brushes because these models are getting bigger and
After
bigger.
you cover the wide areas, you can go in and use a small brush just to fill in the corners and the harder to reach areas.
Now, when I paint my HELLFORGE, because I did order mine,
this brown is a great gateway.
I should say my HELLFORGE. I don't know what the HELLFORGE is gonna be. I should say the
which looks really
the other. Oh my god, I can't think of their names.
Has a nice solid
my brain
coat around it.
The Wraith Riders and
yellow is a finicky color. It's a color you want to treat carefully.
Machine
and with
Kimoshi.
respect.
What I don't remember her name.
Kind of added this nice dark.
But when I ordered that pack from Wave 2, I ordered them unpainted. So I want to take notes from this. Now, I don't want to do exactly what their paint scheme is, because I want to make them more like not Deathwalkers, but like more metallic and gritty and like very Warhammer type.
Matte white from Army Painter.
So I'm just I want to see what some style
put onto a dry.
Okay, so blocking metallic parts.
Whatever you dry brush, which is a thing we'll be using a lot of in this video, you'll want
very familiar with dry brushing.
Nice fluffy head. Now I'm using
gotta get myself a fluffy head.
Style dry brush, but
note to self:
looking to
wider brushes,
dry brushes, you can get
fluffy
a package
head
of makeup brushes and use those as well. They work out
pretty
good.
A makeup brush, kind of but those are way more expensive.
And you're
I've seen those. I've seen the prices for makeup heads.
And remove a lot of the excess from the brush. You can still have it be
using
heavy
white.
With the white once applied, but you don't want the whole brush to be filled with it.
So he uses his hand. I would just use a paper towel.
Really highlights.
I don't like getting my hands dirty.
Edges.
I don't.
All over the body of them.
And I worked for my dad for many years at a mechanic shop.
This is going to give a strong.
I got oil and grime on these things all the time. These sausages. I don't like getting my hands dirty.
Really make it easy. Really.
But God bless him. God bless him.
Try to go around and get all these little nooks and crannies as best as possible.
That looks so cool. Oh, I gotta get myself one of those brushes. All right, it's going on the list. It's going on the list. Writing it down. Writing it down.
You can layer up dry brushing when you paint. Just know that the more layers you add,
I definitely want to add a lot of orange to these, because these units, Revna originally at the Hats-Up campaign were all going to be orange
for this thing to follow.
And I loved it.
Make sure you hit the underside of
and
these.
So
I
I want to keep orange at the forefront for some of these units.
just a
So
little
I
bit
think
of brightness
definitely
to show there as well.
the core
And since we
where
have
the
white
HELLFORGE
paint
is
out
going to
now,
rain. That looks
might as
so
well
good.
use it to fill in the forge area as well. We're going to be layering more colors onto this, but
Yeah,
honestly,
I'm not doing like
save
the
some
blue
time
that
if
he's
you
going to
can
be
keep your
doing.
colors coordinated.
Definitely going to
And paint
be
same colors as much as possible
fire.
when the paint's already in your palette.
Fire.
Now, white is even
I mean,
thinner
sure,
than yellow paint,
blue
and you're gonna
fire
wanna
is
apply
actually the
as
hottest
many
fire,
layers as it
but
takes to
I'm more of a
the
red and
point where it
orange
gets
fire,
very
regardless
bright
of what
and
temperature.
very solid white for the maximum effect. I think I put around 3 or 4 layers to totally cover the inside of the forge. Now
3 to 4 layers, he says.
Yellows
Interesting.
with this model. We're going to be using Demigod Flames from Army Painter. Their War Paint Fanatic line.
Demigod Flames, okay.
And make sure you shake this up.
I do not have that color.
Really good.
I may go more
Especially with yellow, you want these pigments to mix together. And we're going to add a couple drops.
We'll see.
Enough that we think for the model.
Why is it doing
And now you're going to grab some medium. Some acrylic medium. Traditionally, you want to use the medium for the brand for the most consistent results. At the time
his
of recording,
backgrounds
ran
are
out,
awesome.
so I'm going to be using some from Pro.
I'm so jealous.
But mediums all function relatively the same.
My background's got
Essentially,
nothing on
acrylic
it.
medium is colorless paint. It allows the paint to be spread out and is a great way for building glazes, washes, and the like. A lot of fun things you can do with acrylic medium. We are going to add a couple drops of that.
Interesting. Okay.
About a 1-to-1 ratio if possible. And
I don't know what the fractions
mix
mean.
just a tiny bit of water in. About the same. About a 1-to-1-to-1 ratio. Always go with less
Okay,
water.
so he's
with more water.
he's
And you're
doing a
gonna
little
get
kind of a
full brush that you
concoction
happen to have
here.
on hand. And we are going to mix all these together.
This is a really
so it
good
gets
video.
A nice, thin consistency.
It's a good. It's got a lot of more advanced.
Mix this all really well.
Advanced
And
things
notice
going
that
on,
I'm
which is
doing this in a separate mixing cup. That's just so it doesn't blend in my palette, and I will need to reference this a couple times.
That's why for the cup.
If you happen to make any messes or spills.
Ooh, I like that. All right. So he's taking a lot off the brush
Put
here.
it on there, and notice it kind of has a nice. Add just a bit more water.
Now,
You want it to
clearly
flow and
he's
hold
dipping
together,
his brush in the
but
water
you
cup.
don't want it to kind of be too thin where it's almost unusable. This is a nice consistency. It's nice and thick and has good coverage, but still maintains the translucency. Make sure you mix all the medium
Interesting.
and the color together, and you're going to get a good sized brush, and you are going to apply this to all the yellow parts of the model. Notice how this comes out slightly thinned, and it still kind of maintains these shadows on the model. I'm going to spread this all around, and it's going to give a really unique kind of tone progression on this.
I definitely like using the brown and the white.
Notice
I think I
one,
might
that the
try
coverage
doing
is
that.
very smooth.
I
It's
might do a
allowing,
different color. Like I
not a
said,
lot of
the construction yellow
unsightly
looks kind of cool.
brushstrokes or kind of blotchiness to appear in the model.
But I think I might go
And
more
it's just kind of
orangey.
flowing. Try to avoid the areas with metal on it. If like the metallic
The whole
parts
thing's metal. What
on
are you
it,
talking about?
if possible. But honestly, it's better to have more coverage of the yellow. And
I feel
less
like I
the
need
black,
like
because black is pretty
a
easy
little
to cover
mini
up
image
yellow.
of the model, what he's
So,
going for, like the finished
Just gonna
product.
put this all on. This acts very much like speed paint, and honestly, I'm not using it for this model, but speed paint in this kind of situation works really well. And just going through, and
I love in the
Oh,
background.
pretty
There's
much
like some
calling
kind
my
of
number
note
this
thing, and
one.
it says. I just noticed that it said "love wife."
I'm really liking the smooth coverage
well done, sir.
and how even it's coming out. That's the really big win here.
I'm curious to see how the white
And
comes out.
because we
with the
did
yellow.
this, it will naturally have the kind of areas that weren't hit by the dry brush be more shadowed, and it will have the raised areas be brighter.
Interesting. Okay.
There are many different ways to paint yellow. This is just one of them that I'm doing for this video. In the future, I probably will explore some other methods of painting yellow, as it's a really fun color to work with, but you do have to be kind of cautious and kind of know what you're doing. This is going to look very strong when you first apply it.
Wait, why is yellow so... Why do you have to be cautious with yellow? Is that a joke?
And you'll have to go back with a couple coats.
Is because yellow is a cautious color? It's a cautious... That's what you use for caution tape? Is yellow? Is that why? Is it a joke?
We want
is it a pun?
Many lines and cracks and crevices to show through.
Why is yellow so different?
And sometimes when you work with brighter colors, you get impatient, and you just kind of cover those details.
Oh, okay.
So this is a great method to ensure that your paint is the right consistency.
It's a lighter color than the others. If we get yellow working.
More interesting to look at.
Because yellow is a lighter color.
That's, of course, a method you could use, but you lose all these subtle shadows that are on the model that are peeking through this transparent part of the paint. And thankfully, this thing is just a lot of solid color, so you don't have to be too cautious. It's definitely, as I mentioned, better to cover more area than less area. But like this part right here, we know that there's a lot of going to be metallic.
I'm not yelling. I'm not yawning because I'm bored. I'm yawning.
But if I get some on it, I'm not going to start over and start fixing it, because I will be covering it with a
I'm also a bit tired. It's fine.
And I think about 2 to 3 coats of this will look really nice. With each
I'm so intrigued by this.
I'm
curious to know what this would look like.
Also, this thing is kind of hard to hold. If you notice, I'm trying to paint this bottom area
How to paint on shoes. I'm reading the thing in the background now.
Pretty solid.
I don't want to get distracted. Josiah, you're distracting me from by putting these things in the background.
I definitely recommend, if you don't want to get paint all over your hands, to try to hold the bottom as best as possible.
Something apt.
You may even feel while painting, but it's just better
prepared eyes. I don't want to mess up my editing, make it harder.
Wait for that to dry.
I don't want to pause it.
Definitely want to look all over this thing, as there are little cracks and crevices that will...
There's a lot. I'm generally curious on how you're going to handle that.
That's another advantage of the brown.
Because I could look at this model and go, this is going to take me forever.
It kind of will look like rust or grime on the model. Stuff mixed with water and medium takes a bit longer to dry, so you want to factor that in. You want to do a layer and then wait for all that to fully dry. But so far we're looking really good. We're getting some really nice colorization, and it's just, I mean, yellow is a fun color.
You missed the underside of the left arm.
If you treat
you missed the underside of the left arm. The underside, dude, the underside of the left arm.
Really want these cracks, as I mentioned, to stay prominent. So if you notice that this glaze is starting to which is this?
So is this the second coat?
It is starting to kind of pull
glazing is applying translucent paint over another layer of paint to alter in some. I was a little bit too fast. I'm slow. It's okay.
You definitely want things like that to still have a pretty dark shadow, but you want things like the shoulder pads of the arms to be a bit brighter, as they're a bit more prominent and more focal points. Once we're all done with this, that brown undercoat may all be layered over, but is, I call, a bridge color. Essentially, it's a color that you can use to build up a bit easier, and it allows you to
adding wear and tear
areas you miss. I missed this part of the arm. If I said the model was done,
sorry, I couldn't help myself by looking at that list in the back.
They try to get inside these deep recesses, which
honestly, I should do that. I should do that with my my list of
make sure you get top
video ideas.
Right here.
My stack.
You want to have to go back and redo that.
My stack of video ideas. Just put them on a whiteboard in the background and have people point them out. It's a good idea. Look at this. Look at this. Nuts. I still got more up here.
Spots. Any problem areas that just don't seem to be catching your eye as much as you would.
So this has got to be the second coat. Now the video is about 35 minutes long, and he does cover some things
and try
pretty
to cover it
slowly,
up.
which is right
If the
now.
paint
This is
covered,
good
let it
that he's
dry,
taking the
and
time
then
to look
just
at
go
this.
back and add another thin layer that you have.
But he did
on
kind of
top.
brush by,
And once
because
you
it
feel
is a
like you
lot
have
simpler to talk
pretty decent
about
coverage on
the
model,
first base
I definitely
coating
recommend that you let it
process.
dry. Let that all dry, and then add
Layering
one
up brights
more layer
colors
to it,
takes
just to
time.
be
I
sure.
added around 3 or 4 layers to get a nice solid coverage. Wow, 3 to 4 layers. Okay. I don't think I've ever added that many layers to a paint yet.
So this is looking really good here. Next, we're going to work on the metallic bits. I recommend that you take some black and apply this to the parts that would be metallic. Make it slightly thin, just enough so that it doesn't clog up to the details of the face and the body.
Interesting.
And effectively, we are blocking out the colors for our metallics. Also notice there's a lot of coils and things with very thin lines. This method helps to ensure all those lines are appropriately kind of dark. You know, it takes
This is actually
place
a pretty
of
cool
bit of a
idea. I like
wash
this one.
that the wash may not go in there.
I think I'll definitely be copying this.
Now,
Like I
if you
said,
want to
I
spend
think I
less
want to
time
change
on
that
this,
yellow
you
to a
can paint
darker
this whole
orange,
chassis up here,
or maybe just an orange, a
black.
brighter orangey color,
just avoiding
more than like a yellow.
the yellow parts. I believe that's how it is on the model. I wanted to see if I could get some separation on this. Just have to be a bit more careful to avoid those yellow areas. Important thing is to make sure your black paint is not too thin or too runny, as it could have a tendency to overflow into your model. And try to keep your lines nice and thin and solid. If you notice some color peeking through, apply another thin layer over that spot you missed. Notice how I'm working from the top to the bottom. You can kind of do this any way you like, but working on the bottom, I definitely recommend that you paint that and then let that dry before you do anything else. And there's, again, not a very easy way to hold this model. Now you especially want to make sure that this little eye slot is covered, but it is not filled up. That is going to be a prominent visual focal point for the model, and if you have too much thick paint on it, it'll easily cover yourself.
Sorry, I don't know what to do about
If you notice the paint isn't kind of coming off as easily, it's starting to kind of stick or kind of come out kind of clumpy, that means that there's not enough moisture on your brush. That should flow out very nice and smooth.
It's so hard. I feel like this is why you have to have a reference photo, just so you understand what you're painting. Because a lot of it is obvious about being coils. There's a lot of things on here to be wires and things, and that's what you want to pop with metallic. You know, a silver, dark silver, whichever.
I am just putting my brush into it.
But you need some kind of reference photo just to be like,
kind of pulling it out.
What am I painting?
Rolling my brush like this.
What am I looking at right now?
Nice control of where the paint on the brush is and where it's going to. So doing that simple roll trick and pulling the paint out is a great way to maintain the consistency of your brush.
Painting.
If you know, sometimes I also test
understanding
on my thumb just to make sure it's not too watery
that
or too thick.
The layers that you're making at the start matter more than you think.
That's more of an artist quirk I have.
Because what's stopping you to just paint this thing yellow and black, call it a day, and then put your details?
Just be very careful.
But you need to have the brown and the white, and then put the yellow, because the layering of the paints keeps it more intact.
For the most part, you gotta think
and even when it dries, you may not notice it on a first or second look, but maybe on a third or fourth closer look, you'll notice those little like highlights from the white. You'll notice that when he applied the yellow, the brown and the white has made it essentially a different color. If you might have made the HELLFORGE gray instead of the brown.
That is always a good
so the yellow might have changed its own color.
See things you missed.
So brown might be a better color to mix with yellow opposed to gray, which is something to think about. So you gotta have some kind of knowledge about color, and which colors complement each other. I was working on a lot of thumbnails
Now,
recently.
if you're in a situation where the
and
separation
looking
is just
at
going to look bad, just go ahead and cover the whole thing. Like,
purples and greens
so feet kind of patchy.
and blues
just because it's so
seem
small.
to really do
Painting this black will just add
wonders
a nice shadow.
as contrasts. And they
what
really
you're
make,
doing is you make
depending
it
on how you
small
apply them on
splotches or
certain backgrounds and certain
mistakes.
layers, might
You
make
just go back in and
certain
cover
text
that up.
pop, or might make
Use
the
that
background
same
blend in better.
Just take your time and layer up
Things
these
to think
spots
about.
back.
Color.
And also make sure you paint the tracks underneath the HELLFORGE, being careful to avoid the metal bar atop of it. And now I'm going to grab some Gargoyle Gray.
Gargoyle Gray.
Kind of
Oh, I like
gray.
that color name.
And we're going to put this in for the skin right here.
Skin?
Want it nice and warm to really separate.
Oh, I never really
from
noticed
the
that.
Armor we're going to be
Once
applying
again,
to
I
it.
need to look at a reference
Same
photo.
like they're
Like
visually
what?
different.
Like once you start covering this thing with paint, you're gonna forget.
Touch up any areas where the paint kind of went into the yellow parts where it's not supposed to be. Also go through and add white to the vents on the side, lower parts, and back parts of the model. And you'll want to add a couple layers to those areas, making sure that they're as bright and white as possible.
Oh, because that's where he's gonna add.
If
the
you
blue,
got
I
any
believe.
yellow into the white forge, make sure you layer that back up as well. Alright, and your model should look like this.
Hey!
All the colors properly blocked in. Kind of a clear idea.
Get that thing in focus, and I think we're
We're gonna grab
looking at. Oh, it looks
just
so
a little
good.
bit of
Oh, it
the
looks so
black,
good.
Just to make it a bit darker.
So he's mixing the gunmetal and the black. Interesting.
And we're going to do what's called a moist brush, or a wet dry brush, essentially. We're going to take this paint, put our brush onto it, and we're going to go against the grain of
Oh, that's so
the
cool.
model.
Oh,
So
I need to
that
start
these
doing
areas
that.
still remain dark on the tendrils and the coils and all that stuff.
Oh, wet dry
But
brush.
it's still
he
got
says.
some nice consistent coverage. As if I want to use a small brush with this, that's definitely older, not your best.
This is
As we
cool.
are
I like
essentially
this a
letting
lot.
this dark undertone really paint the model for us. We spent a lot of time getting here, but now that we're here, we can kind of enjoy the fruits of our efforts.
That's so cool.
Now, the term moist brushing isn't really a common phrase. It's more of an expression I personally use. I'm pretty much using a dry brushing motion on the metallic parts, but not going through all the effort of removing the full excess from my brush or keeping it dry. I want a bit of moisture so the metallic paint flows easily and smoothly onto the model. However, you can also use a standard dry brushing method for this as well. It'll give it more of a textured and kind of gritty look, which you may want for the HELLFORGE.
Yeah, you gotta. It's
Same
unfortunate,
technique,
but
just
like
going to go up and
it
down
takes so
against
much
the grain of the claws.
experience to know what he's talking about. From the little experience
Now, for
I've
the more
had
smoother,
painting
cylindrical
models,
parts, you just want to kind of cover the
I could
outermost layer.
kind of understand what he's talking about with when you dry brush.
Now leave
You're
that
not
inside still dark,
going
if
through all the
possible.
details. You're kind of just
Or you can
lightly
kind of dry brush the
brushing
back.
on top of the model, and you're making sure that it's not super wet on the brush. You want to make sure you're brushing some of it off, and so when you're going on the model,
Now, for
it's
this,
just
we
kind of
always use
laying
sort
on
of dry
top,
brush,
and it's not moving
and
around. It's not seeping. When he was doing the yellow was very
carefully
wet.
just go
And it was kind of like
against the
rolling
grain of
around and
this.
seeping into different spots where you want that. So that's where the wet dry brush comes into play. If by chance
taking our
you
time,
missed it. And like I said,
just really
I don't know if I said it, but I'm saying it. I am
let
doing this for my
sparkle
own
to,
reaction,
just the machine.
and I figured so that's something that
Spill them
people
out
might want to
completely.
see. But
Being
please go watch this on
especially
your own. This
careful
is turning out to be such an
to
educational video, and I feel like I'm
avoid
ruining it for all of
That's the
you.
model. And notice that these little black
So
tips
this,
really
if anything,
back.
welcome back for a rewatch of Josiah's HELLFORGE painting video.
Make sure you get
I hope you learned everything.
Inside of the brush. Just use
Thank
really
you for
want
tuning
some
in to watch
separation
me
back.
watch this.
as you see, this black undercoat is really making this nice and strong on the model.
Oh, it's
the areas
strong.
you miss still look like they have a little shadow in them. It's very forgiving. And when you paint the head, just make sure you go against the texture of the spines, kind of going straight in a downward motion. You may want to focus a little bit more on the crevices, as this is a high focal area, and you don't want too dark shadows to distract from the overall look of the model. As always, remember you can layer up your dry brushing and go back if an area starts getting too dark. Maybe even using a mixture of less black mixed into the gunmetal with each pass. And then we are going to take some plate mail metal and just very briefly dry
Once
brush
again,
over the top
layering.
of this.
He's layering a lot of paint.
Parts.
And layering a lot of paint doesn't mean like you're
So now we've
applying
established a very strong base coat
more
for this
and
model.
more paint each time.
I want to go
It's still
through and
thin
add
layers
some
of paint,
further
but you're
shading,
layering
dimension,
different
and
colors on
depth
top of
to
each
this.
other
So let's
to
start
make
adding
certain
some
things
wash to the
pop
model.
and shine.
So
And
first we're going to add a nice strong
once again,
tone
it takes a
from our
lot of
painter
experience, and I'm
as
so
our first shade. We're
we should
using
all be
multiple
thanking
shades, which is a
Josiah
great
right
way
now
to kind of add some
to
subtle
do a video
distinctive
like this.
hues.
This is fantastic. I'm learning so much from this.
Make sure you shake it up really well, and we're going to
All right, so he's not using a
little
black
bit. Not too much, because our painter does
do
have a
this.
tendency
It
to
is a strong tone. It's like a
kind of coffee
it's
stain
kind of like
splotch.
like it's a coffee.
But we don't
It's
want to
like coffee
ruin all
color.
this nice work. And you're going to focus on the areas and add this nice grime to it. Strong tone is kind of a nice orange black, and it's really going to make this thing look effectively.
I think I have it.
it's
I think I
been
have this color, the strong tone.
used a lot. Now, let's say you have kind of the wash start to stain or show up in spots.
Ah,
you
look
want
at
to be
look at
more
how the
visible.
metal
You
looks
can
now
put
with the
some
strong
water in
tone
the
on
brush
it too.
and
Oh, that's
start
so
kind of
dope.
spreading that around and absorbing it. Notice how it goes into like the recesses and really fills those in.
And you know what too? He makes it look so easy. Oh, you couldn't cut that out? What? All right. Anyway, I hope he's okay.
And it covers up a little bit of our mistakes or areas that we may have overlooked.
I can't stop. That was funny. Just stops the cough.
I would try to avoid the
Sorry, that was
parts,
funny.
as we are going to use a different color tone for that. We want this thing to have very
Not to say
distinctive
that this is
parts,
his humor.
'cause
This
there's
would
a
be
lot of
my
colors in
humor.
this unit.
Like,
There's not
imagine
a lot
making
of
a very
ways to
serious video
individualize
about
things, so
something, you know, like this type of
let's
caliber,
keep
serious,
it
like an
separate with
educational
these-
video.
These shades we're using.
And like it just turns into like not a joke, but like
Fabricator,
turns into
quick
like an
shades
online
have
mystery.
like a filter,
and, like, you
effect
just,
in them. They almost have
pretend to, like,
semi-glazes,
Oh no!
and they will kind of blend these colors
And then like the
together,
video just keeps going.
and when
And it becomes a mystery of, like, who
pulling that
Who
looks a
took out
little
Joe
weird.
Crazy? Who took him out?
This will dry a lot.
Like it's
drier
after
than it
I've
initially
drinking
comes
like
out.
oh no.
So if you're worried,
Oh, wow,
or
that was
too
really
much
good.
about
Oh, this
whole
video is
thing
so
keeps
interesting.
becoming too muddy. Don't worry, this will eventually
I don't know. I'm sorry.
clean up
Side
a bit
tangent.
after it dries. Definitely hit these arms.
But yeah,
going
applying
against
this
the
strong
grain.
tone is like honestly like
Areas
magic.
where I expect there's more grime. I'm applying on it.
But I feel like it feels like it's
Specifically the lower
magic
areas
because
kinda
of
around
all
the
the other
treads,
work you've done
as those realistically
prior.
would
It's
have
the
most
prep time.
dirt and build up. But you still
And this
don't
comes
want this
to
stuff
anything
to pull
too.
up like
Anytime
that,
I've ever written a script,
as it just doesn't look
storyboarded out a
It's
video,
tacky.
it always comes
Gross.
out way better because of the amount of pre-planning you do.
On weird.
So clearly, like he might say, "Oh, I just threw this out of my hat. Like I just whatever." But like
This is a
it's
very
the experience that
satisfying
allows you to do
shade.
that, and so
I'm currently
there's a
holding
lot
my
of
face down, so
pre-planning,
all the,
either written down
wash
or
flows
mentally that
downward in a
happens
correct
for
direction.
for you to really put
There's
this
just so
together.
many little
And don't let me
details
say
that
that to scare you. Be
if
like,
you don't
I'll
look
never
at
be able to do
shade,
that.
will really
No.
be lost.
It's
And honestly, it's hard to
this
to
clearly
bring out
teaches
every
you
single one of these
every
by traditional
step.
layering.
We went from
This
the
heavy
base
shade is
coat,
very
the
classic
white
HEROScape
highlights,
inspired,
the
and,
yellow coat, 3 to 4 coats of yellow.
The easiest way to make your model look
and then
like it's
the black
old classic HEROScape
on
piece.
all the wires. And then we did
Well, still looking pretty great as well. All right, now that
then was the metal after that? Was it we let the black dry, and then we did the metal?
And
then we did the whites?
to this figure.
Whites were in there
added
somewhere.
A strong tone. Now let's work on adding a
But
dark tone.
each of those
Now let's
layers,
work
it's
on
like
adding
one
a
step at
dark
a time,
tone
and like
metallic parts
you could technically paint this in one day,
make this,
but
silver parts look
it might
really
take you
deep
all
and
day
interesting.
just because the weight thing.
This is a really fun model to work with.
You wait for
there's
things
just
to
a lot of
dry. At
simple
least that's how I
techniques
would
you can use
work
to really
it.
kind of bring out the inherent detail associated with this thing. Just
Look how
darkening
cool
these
this
recesses,
is.
just to really add a bit of sharp and punchy contrast. I assume what are the actual parts of the Eisenach's arms, just to kind of darken them down a bit and bring out those little details on it. You don't want to overdo it, you just want to add a little bit of shade to the model. Notice
Now,
I'm not
I
applying
like,
it too thick.
in my
It's
mind,
really
I
dry.
like a clean model. And when I say a clean
Again, we're
model,
going
I
for
mean
this
like
grimy, dirty look.
it
And this
looks
is why
brand
the
spanking
washes
new,
are
right out of the
effective.
factory, or right out of the
On a
womb.
standard model,
You know,
we
like just
probably wouldn't
straight,
use as much as I'm using now.
like
But
as
really,
the best version of
making this
itself.
thing look like it's been
But making this thing look dirty
around the block,
is
so
so cool. Like I
If you
generally
apply
want
washes
to,
as
I
kind
think
of
want to
thin,
try to
it
put
adds
like
just a bit of a dark tone to the
some blood
metal, which
marks
is what we're
on
looking
like
for.
what looks like these chain arms. I think these
Try
are
not to get this into
chainsaws.
the yellow,
If
at all
if
possible.
someone's gonna tell me
What
those
you do
aren't
when
chainsaws,
leave
you're
this
ruining
to
my
the
day.
Individual,
Don't tell me
you're
that.
gonna let that dry for a
Those
bit.
look like chainsaws.
Well,
You know
we know
that
the next
thing
step.
from Monsters Inc.
Now to work on the
He's like
health
squiggly
forge
arms. He's
itself
like
of the health forge.
and he goes through the door.
Prismatic bolts to be paid.
That's what it
Or
looks
we're
like,
really
but they're
using that for this.
chainsaws.
Not gonna spit on-
That's what that
really
looks like. It's
complicated
like
involved
so dope.
hairbrushes,
He's
but
like,
just
let's
something that
break
will catch
this,
the eye.
break whatever
And
I'm
we
about
are
to
going to
consume
apply
apart, so it's little
the
chunks that
paints
flies into the vacuum of the HELLFORGE.
to this area. Then when you make
Yeah,
sure
this is
you
where it
cover that
ruins it
whole
for me.
area up,
I
Speed paints
can't
inherently,
do
work
the
great for this 'cause
blue
they
here, the cyan.
will put shadow in the recesses and bring out the brighter spots.
Part of me wants to make a lot of that,
You want a
like
nice even layer for this.
do the
But
metal,
what
do
we
the
did for
do the
dry,
black,
let's hit these little
do the
back
gun
areas as
metal,
well.
do the lighter gray, lighter metal gray, the plate mail, and then in between do like an orange wash, like he's doing with the prismic color.
And you get these little areas on the
So it's
side
like you get all those metal chunks and teeth, and then you can kind of see like the
These are
fire
brushes,
red
very narrow tip.
in
You
there,
wanna
kind of
try
like heat. Maybe do like a very bright yellow or something in the dead center to like the light,
white
like
line.
it's like the light at the end of the tunnel, just like, oh no, look,
And
ah,
if you want to, after that speed paint dries,
being sucked in and being
go
just
through
consumed.
a little white dot in the center of these spots in the back, just to make them look a bit more like they're glowing.
Yeah, see, yeah, he's doing that for the engines
If
in
you
the back.
overdo it, don't worry, just add another layer of speed
And with
paint.
all the engines on the back of that thing, it only has like a mover 4, I think. A mover 3. It's like so slow. Which I can understand why.
Here's white, but
So I am learning. I'm learning today. I'm learning
you
today.
just apply the speed paint over that eye area as well.
Yeah, and he's doing the same color there. Yep. Okay.
Once all your shades and color effects have kind of dried up, I would recommend that you go through, if you find your model to be a bit too dark, and add a slightly brighter yellow to the model. I'm using Fiendish Yellow from Army Painter just to really buff up those corners and curves that kind of may have been lost in this process.
Huh.
Then we
Okay.
apply it just to kind of the topmost part of the model, being careful to avoid that metal we already put down.
And here's the finished model with a few of those extra added steps to it, just because.
Oh yeah, I can see the corrosion. The corrosion he added. Oh, that is so cool.
If you want to get the HELLFORGE for yourself, be sure to check upcoming Renegade releases, as this will be releasing soon. And it's a great heroScape piece to add to your collection.
Well done.
And just due to the structure of the model, the kind of skills we used, and the ways you can just kind of build this model up, all in all, I just gotta say, the HELLFORGE Manticore is a blast to paint. You all take care now.
Because the blast furnace, get it? It's a blast to paint because of the blast furnace. Yo. Well done, RogueScaper. Bravo. Fantastic video, man. I love it. I cannot wait to get my hands on my own HELLFORGE and paint it almost exactly like that one, opposed to adding a little bit more orange to it and more black, because I need my eyes and necks to be orange and black, because that's what I was promised. I wanted orange Revna units, and I'm gonna get them. He has his own Renegade affiliate code, so that is it. That's what is in the description right now. Not mine, but his. Go support. He just hit 500 subs not too long ago. Go support RogueScaper. Well done, sir. Thank you for watching, and don't forget, I am not crazy. I'm Joe Crazy.